Hello, you're welcome to Living a Full Life Forum. Today, our topic of discussion is breaking the cycle of emotional trauma. Studies have shown that emotional trauma can actually be transmitted in family lines, so from one generation to another. That is why you find that there are some families where the problem seems to be around anger. People don't seem to know how to control their anger. There are other families that struggle a lot with strife, with bitterness, with jealousy, and all kinds of negative emotions. All these are signs that actually, if not dealt with, if an emotional trauma is not dealt with in one generation, the subsequent generations can suffer, even when they were not the ones who initially received the insult that led to the trauma. So that is why we have to be very careful about managing our emotional health. You don't want to be that parent who is going to transmit your negative emotions into your children. You don't want to be the one making life difficult, around people, because you cannot manage your emotions. And you can never be able to manage emotions unless you are emotionally healed. Okay, so that is why today's topic is really very important. It drew me back to a young man I saw a few months ago who was going through major emotional issues. He had just reconciled or met his mother after 14 years. He says that when he was born, the parents were already having issues. And so at the age of about 2 to 3 years, his mother decided to leave the home and left him with her father. So he went through different hands, different stepmothers, and then different relatives. So he never really grew up with a mother, and he never got to see this mother all that while. So it was very painful for him, even at about the age of 14 years, when he had the chance to see the mother. At that point, the mother was very sick. Out of anger, he decided not to go to see the mom. But we thank God that a few months ago, when he had made 18 years, he managed to reconnect with the mother. And so it was a very emotional moment. And as I talked to him, I could feel the pain he had gone through, the rejection, because even though he remained with the father did not really have that much time for him, because the father just kept taking him to different relatives, here and there. So he also never really connected with the father. And he was very emotionally hurt. And I told him that we needed to go through emotional healing, because if we don't, then it is most likely that his own children will also face the similar pain he has faced. And he told me that it's actually true, because his own father had gone through a lot of rejection by his father, that is his grandfather. So the father's father had actually rejected him when he was young. And so he also grew up in different hands, and he never really felt loved. And even when he tried his best to bring up his own son in the way that he thought was best, he could not give him a good future. Why? Because he just didn't know how to. So what you don't have, you cannot give. So meaning, if you do not have emotional stability, you cannot provide emotional stability to anyone around you. And so as the saying goes, whatever you sow, you will reap. If you sow bitterness, strife, unforgiveness, then automatically you reap the same. If we bring up our children in bitterness, in strife, then these are the things they are going to pick. They will become bitter, they will be full of strife, then they will start causing bitterness to other people, including ourselves. And so the issue of emotional healing is very, very critical for anyone who wants to rise up in the ladders of life. If we traumatize people around us because we are emotionally traumatized, then the people will get traumatized, and they will continue traumatizing other people, including ourselves. And so you find that over 99% of children on the street children, they have come from dysfunctional families. And when you take a survey of those children, you realize that their own parents, over 90% of their own parents, were also from dysfunctional families. So one problem ends up leading to another. And so that is why your emotional health is very important. You have to take it very seriously. I was talking to a young lady who explained the circumstances under which she grew up. She lost her father at a very young age, about 7 years of age. And at that point, her mother was thrown out of their home by the in-laws. And then as children, they were distributed to different relatives. And she grew up with a paternal uncle who just didn't have much values for, child rearing. Because whenever she would do something wrong, sometimes even when she's falsely accused, the punishment was really way beyond whatever was done or claimed to be done. So sometimes she was cut with knives. So she has these marks of, cuts on her back. So she was cut with knives or burnt, in different parts. So she was extremely, traumatized. So she went ahead and studied and got married. But then she realized that she started playing the same things on her own children. And so she was extremely tough and very violent with her children. And that girl started keeping away, avoiding her, and ganging up with her father against her. And so by the time she came, she was extremely broken. And she was like, I don't know whether my children will ever recover. And I was like, there is hope. There is hope for each and every one who chooses to go through the process of healing. And it's never too late. Time might have passed, but there is always hope for restoration. And so we started going through the process of healing. So I do not know what your story is like, but as long as you have emotional pain that hasn't been dealt with, then you know that you're most likely putting your children or the generations after you at a very high risk of inheriting whatever you haven't dealt with. Any burden that you haven't offloaded will somehow be loaded onto your children and the generations after you. So what can we do? We need to start identifying our emotional pains early. Just start by looking through your family lines. What are those emotions that seem to run across, your family? Is it an anger issue? Are most people bitter? Are most people, jealous? So it's good to scan through your relatives, then even the ancestors, if you can find out about them. Then take an honest look into your own life. Assess yourself. Look at your emotions. Look at how you manage your emotions. Look at the things that you struggle with and be honest with yourself. You may also take time to ask, some friends who are well-meaning and relatives who know you. They may give you an idea of the level of your emotional stability. And when you've done that, make sure you go through the process of healing. When you look at the previous video that I posted on emotional trauma, healing from emotional trauma, you're going to get a lot of tips from that. So one of the key things that you're going to have to do is to identify the root causes of some of these pains. If it is an anger issue, is it because you are treated unjustly? If you're suffering with rejection, is it because someone really put you off, rejected you? Is it a parent? Then you have to go back through all those, look at the root causes of your emotional pain, and then go ahead and start dealing with them one at a time, relieving, the experiences, journaling, and, writing a biography about your life, writing letters to the people who have hurt you, forgiving and letting go. And while you do that, I can assure you that you will start feeling some relief from those emotional pains, okay? And you can also seek help. You can seek help from a counselor, a therapist, and other people, who can listen to you and be able to give you a balanced view about whatever it is that you're going through. At Living a Full Life Forum, we are open. We are very ready to stand with you and walk with you the journey of emotional healing. Because all this that we are doing, we want to ensure that the generations that come after us do not go through the pains that we have gone through. And you know what? Healing from emotional trauma is one of the most liberating things you can go through in life. When you know that you're in charge of your emotions and your emotions don't have to betray you and be erratic in situations that are difficult, it is extremely, relieving and very fulfilling. And everyone wants to be around someone who is emotionally stable. Because when you're emotionally stable, then out of you flows, clean waters, refreshing waters. And the whole world wants to be around such people. So for you to be an influencer, for you to grow in the hierarchy of life, for you to make a big difference in life and make lives of people and yourself better, please make sure you go through emotional healing. Do not allow emotional trauma to hold you back. Thank you for being part of Living a Full Life Forum. Please share this video with other people, and be sure to subscribe to our website. We'll be very grateful. And there are many other posts that are coming, and I'm sure you'll not regret it. Have a blessed day.